LastPass has suffered 7 major data breaches between 2012 and 2022. If you are a startup that protects customer-sensitive information, you might benefit from learning from one of these events. In this video, we look at the data breach from 2022 when attackers stole production data, exposing information of over 30 million users worldwide. Master passwords are hashed with 100,000 rounds of a key derivation function. The cost of cracking is around $6 for 4.3 billion guesses. That means around 5,000 USD for a typical password. People have a tendency to store credit card numbers, two-factor authentication tokens, and even Bitcoin seed phrases in their password manager. Cracking the right vault might make it worth your while. If you're a cyber criminal looking to make some money, might as well choose a target with a good ROI. On August 12, 2022, the security team noticed inconsistent access patterns. By then, the attack had been going on for 4 days. After compromising the engineer's laptop, the attackers accessed the development environment. They exfiltrated 14 source code repositories. These contained clear text credentials, digital certificates, and encrypted credentials. They also got their hands on technical documentation. LastPass released a memo to reassure customers that production data was safe. As it turns out, that was only the first stage of the attack. There are 2 ways you could attack a password manager. You could target an individual known to have valuable secrets to steal, or you could try to download the whole database. But it's not easy to get access to a database. When a system is well designed, you can expect many controls to be in place to prevent unauthorized people from accessing it. What companies often forget to protect, though, are the database backups. That's what the attackers went for in this case. But LastPass was well prepared for this. They followed best practices, and they kept their backups encrypted. The attackers did end up exfiltrating the encrypted backups. But unless they could get their hands on the encryption keys, those backups were useless. To try to cut costs, sometimes companies will scope their security program to the production environment. And it's true that it's usually where you get the most bang for your buck. But the credentials that give your staff access to production have to be entered on devices that you might not consider production. Those devices are engineer laptops. After the first stage, the attackers probably had enough information on the environment to realize that the individuals they needed to target, the ones who had the most access, were the 4 DevOps engineers. What are the odds of one of them sometimes using their personal computer to access company systems? Now, there's one thing you'll always hear security people say: keep your software up to date. This is another example of why this is important. This engineer had a Plex media server running at home, and it wasn't patched, and it had a remote execution vulnerability. The attackers implanted a keylogger and captured his LastPass master password. As it turns out, this senior engineer had access to the keys required to decrypt the backups. Attackers exported the contents of the whole vault. By this time, they had the encrypted backups and the encryption keys. Game over. You don't get owned like that without consequences. A class action lawsuit was filed against them in January 2023 for failure to exercise reasonable care in securing and safeguarding highly sensitive consumer data. The silver lining is that companies who get breached like this often magically find a budget to harden their systems. They spent 6 weeks redeploying their whole development environment. They replaced their VPN with a zero trust solution. They started using a cloud security posture management platform. They enabled container introspection, deployed canary tokens, bought YubiKeys for everyone. They even started doing threat hunting. But there's a mitigation that's more interesting than any of that. They help the engineers harden the security of their home networks. What becomes clear when you look at the timeline of events is that one inexpensive control could have made all the difference. The incident could have been avoided if they had blocked employees from using personal computers to access corporate secrets. Now, as security professionals, we make a lot of effort convincing people to use password managers. Incidents like this make it a tough sell. At the end of the day, it's not the security tools that protect us. It's the way we use them.